Ethereum is taking over today. We'll break it down for you. You don't want to miss it. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into the show. Let's get into it. And part of this is going to be all centered around our sponsor, and that is Coinbase. Take a look right here at Coinbase.com. You guys can, of course, begin your crypto journey here. It's pretty simple to sign up. And whether you have a small business or maybe you're an individual, you can do that over on Coinbase. Use our link down below. You're going to get up to $200 in crypto to get started. Make your first trade. Get eligible, get that reward. Try it out. Use the discount link we have down below. All right, let's get into a couple of points I want to hit on. Yesterday was a big day for what was going on with all these crypto bills during crypto week, and that is that 210 Dems and 13 Republicans voted against advancing the Crypto Genius Act, the Clarity Act, and the CBDC bill. All right, so don't freak out on this if you're brand new to hearing this. This was basically trying to get it to the move of a vote. Now, with all that being said, Mr. Trump went into action and said, wait a minute, let's go in here and talk to a few people. And he says now 11 representatives who voted against the pro-crypto regulation have agreed to a vote in favor of advancing the bills. That'll be a big deal. I put out a tweet yesterday basically saying the same thing, is that just look at it. POTUS is going to put on some pressure here. It'll happen. Now, can he get some Democrats to come in on this as well? Because that's going to be a key thing to make it through these advancement requirements to be able to vote on this bill. And I think this is something that as we start to watch all of this happen, there's some interesting timing that also plays into this. Let me play a clip.
Carl, it was a very dramatic couple hours yesterday. As you remember, about a dozen Republicans blocked a vote to advance to voting on the crypto bills. But there was a late night meeting last night at the White House. Trump tweeted out that the members are now on board and the House is preparing to move forward today. And so here's what we're going to see. Over the next 2 days, the House is set to pass 3 major bills that the crypto industry has been asking for. One deals with regulations on stablecoins. That's the Genius Act we've been talking about. The other is a bill called Clarity. Now, that's a market structure bill, and it defines the market for digital assets, when they're a security, when they're going to be a commodity. And then you've got a final bill that would ban the creation of a central bank digital currency, a CBDC. Now, a redo of yesterday's procedural vote to advance to all 3 that's coming up here a little after noon. But what's important to remember is that while there are 3 different bills, they're on 2 different tracks. So that stablecoin bill already passed the Senate, got a good bipartisan vote. We're expecting similar in the House. The House, at this point, it seems likely to pass it tomorrow. Either way, we expect it to pass. We expect it could be signed into law before the end of the week.
All right, so as you can see, a lot of activity, voting today, tomorrow, all of this queuing up. Now, be aware that there are some strategic things that most likely is happening behind the scenes around trying to get a lot of these Democrats to jump into this. And I think this is something that we need to pay attention to, especially with ETH where it is right now. CNBC went on and we're talking about this crypto bounce. Listen to what they had to say and then I'll comment. Take a look.
I think with Bitcoin, there was a little bit of space for a short-term sentiment-driven move. So you did see that quick dip yesterday around 245, along with the other crypto assets when we got the news about the update from Washington. The sense that I'm getting from talking with both investors and analysts, Frank, is that the move was a little bit overblown, and you did see it come back up pretty quickly before the close. The sense I get is that this is a question of when and not if. So as Emily, did a really good job pointing out, it would just be a little bit more complicated to combine all 3 of the bills. But there is this overwhelming, confidence in the market, I think, that they will get passed no matter what.
All right, maybe this is all centering around, and you remember the taco phrase for, Trump always chickens out. Maybe it's going to be a RACO, which is the Republicans always chicken out and actually pass these things through. If you look at the chart on Bitcoin, yeah, sure, it regressed a little bit, but completely regained 119K, almost 120 trading as of recording. And if you look at ETH, that's the one that, of course, skyrocketed up the charts here just on the signal that some of this could go through. Now, just be cautious on Ethereum because as we start to see the Clarity Act maybe have some not so calm waters, this will be a factor in it. Now, the question is will people continue to go in on this because of what's happening on the institutional side? That's the one that I'm watching right now. Retail investors are also increasingly driving the market. Their share of single stock trading volume reached 14%. This is pretty high. If you look at all the history, this goes all the way back to 2018. It surpasses the 12% recorded during the stock market frenzy of 2021. That was a big deal. So we are at an era right now of investors. And if you look at the potential profits that will come out of the S&P and look for other assets, risk market could play into this. Be on the lookout. If you look at just trends on Google right now, Bitcoin still considering up a little bit. XRP also up significantly. And then ETH just now starting to come off the floor. So it is very early for Ethereum in its run, maybe back to its all-time high. We'll be looking at all that. Fund managers also just added risk to the fastest pace in history. This, I think, is going to continue. This is the thing I am hearing from more and more fund managers, more money managers, more investment advisors out there of trying to figure out what is the best mixture of a portfolio when it comes to digital assets. And as things get going on both what's happening in DC, but more importantly, what is happening around retail and institutions, man, guys, we are in for a very, very interesting, maybe perfect storm. So watch how these markets start to respond to this. Another thing right here, President Trump is testing to see how the market would react to firing Chair Powell. I don't know if this is going to happen. I think it's still a lot of posturing by the White House. You had, the vice president coming out, continuing to put pressure. I mean, he's basically throwing out all of his generals and trying to get more pressure on it. But let's just be honest. There is a political motive here, I believe, that's happening from the Fed. We cannot see a 50 basis points cut prior to an election and then see the kind of improvement that we've seen, not only in the economy. Now, remember, too, that the economy is driven off of regular Americans, not just the stock market reaching an all-time high. I think we need businesses to get back to hiring, and we need people getting back to buying. You got car sales down, you've got issues with real estate right now. The Fed rate will affect that more so than anything. So that's what we need to move forward. Now, will the Fed cut? Listen to this.
We're somewhere in the third or beginning of the fourth quarter of this game. So far, inflation hasn't picked up because of tariffs in any material way. That's the good news, but we can't declare the game over yet. And that's why there's hesitation to say the all clear on inflation is we don't know yet where tariffs are going to settle, and we don't know yet what happens when inventories are totally run down and companies have to make really difficult decisions about price pass-through or margin compression.
Right. So we don't know yet. But what we do know is that for the last few months, it hasn't really materialized in a way that the Fed was worried that it would. So what are they waiting for?
So what they are waiting for are two things. One is they want clearer evidence of weakening in the labor market. And the second thing is I think they are hesitant to move given the amount of political pressure. I think they should be cutting this month, but I don't expect them to cut this month.
All right, so there you heard it from Mohammed. They should be cutting this month, but not expecting it in July. That is what I originally thought and felt like we would see, mainly because of the pressure that the market is putting on Chair Powell, and especially after a soft inflation report yesterday when everybody was expecting skyrocketing inflation. It's just not happening. I think this is a big deal. I want to go to another clip here that kind of breaks out Bitcoin. Are we at a top signal coming in? Take a look.
I am a firm believer that it's going much, much higher from here. You're looking at $500,000 per Bitcoin.
Do I agree with everything Steve's mentioned?
No, I mean, yeah.
Yes,
a lot of
basically, yes. I'm staying long. I'm not looking to take any off the table.
I think Bitcoin itself may be close to 3-ish. So Bitcoin goes from 120 to maybe 360, 400. So, I mean, seemingly it's playing out right before our eyes.
It's like I'm long Coinbase. It's hard for me to justify the valuation. This would not be happening if the markets were not at all-time highs. Let's be clear.
Okay, with that point of that clip, a lot of these analysts now saying, oh yeah, the market's just absolutely blowing up. And I think the key here, remember, when you look at risk markets, and if you guys are watching our show, you're watching a crypto finance show and also the crypto tech. And if you look at where we are right now, 68, slightly down. And again, I think this is a market that is lagging sentiment because it was up 70 just day before yesterday after the situation that was happening in DC. All of this was also prior to ETH breaking out over 3,200. So there's a lot of things that are working right now. Key here, guys, is we are about to see maybe a run that could cause the altcoin season to actually occur. ETH is now on something that they are framing as maybe a new theme for Wall Street, because Wall Street is all into these themes. And this is Ethereum hitting on what they call the trustware era. This could push ETH up to as high as 16 grand. A couple of points within this. ETH is evolving beyond a smart contract platform into a foundational layer for verifiable programmable trust in the financial system. This is something that, and I think this was well played in the sense of how Consensus is trying to push this out, because it starts to put a new wrapper on ETH. And the wrapper is security. And if one thing is more important to the financial system and Wall Street than anything, it is security. And I think that's something that we could be starting to see. Consensus calls this trustware. I love the term. And if this is in fact the case, we will see some movement here on ETH. If you look at the bull case on Ethereum, we've talked about this before, is that maybe people are underestimating really what could happen with Ethereum. And remember, everybody's been sleeping on Ethereum except for a handful of companies that are starting to understand what that is. Now, that handful of companies, if I go over here and just rank them by what they're holding in the ETH reserve, strategic ETH reserves, these are basically companies that are publicly traded, that are putting ETH on their portfolio, and maybe they're integrating other tools that would be revenue generating, like BTCS. I'll talk about that in a second. Sharplink Gaming, though, of course, absolutely killing it right here, adding more Ethereum, going into the #1 slot. And if you look at this by market nav right there, and I want to go in, let me zoom out on this for you guys. So you can kind of see Ethereum Foundation right there, Aave, Coinbase, etc. This is against their MNAV. If you go down and look at some of these companies, one of the ones that we're watching is this one right here at 1.21 MNAV, and that's BTCS. We had the guy on the show not too long ago, and there's a lot. Go back and watch that episode with Charles, because it was a reveal of what their strategy was. It's just not about buying ETH. It's about building an ecosystem that is a revenue generator as well as holding and buying ETH. So a different kind of situation that is brewing right now around these companies. If you look at the charts real quickly, let me kind of jump into these real quick. Let's go to Master. There, of course, is MicroStrategy, still continuing up the chart, trading what looks to be at 450 right now. BMNR, this, of course, is Tom Lee. Probably going to get a break with Peter Thiel putting some cash into this company. Then you've got Joseph Lubin's SBET starting to break out right here. And then here's BTCS after a big bounce, after validating their MNAV a little bit more effectively, and also the commitment to go out and get more Ethereum. So you can kind of see all this brewing in to something. And then SBET is doing a fantastic job of just trolling, which I think is the way to go, because they're simply saying, hey, just in, 40 million worth of ETH shorts liquidated. We talked about this the other day. The shorts were going to get toasted, and that in fact happened. I love that office explanation. Ethereum over 3K. The breakout is en route. The best ETH beta play. This was a poll that we put up just a little bit ago. If you guys aren't following us on Twitter, go out there right now. It's Paul Barron TV. That's our Twitter account that the studio runs, and then me, just at Paul Barron. But right now, Treasury, and these are Treasury companies. That's an example of BMNR and SBET. 31% right now leading the poll, which is kind of interesting as a beta play for Ethereum. So if you are missing the ETH play, and because it's over 3K now, and it's probably going to race up to around 3,400 before we get a pullback, is there some other options out here, guys? Let me know in the comments how you're playing this ETH run. Another thing that's happening right now is Coinbase starting to get a little bit of FOMO after Robinhood's successful cans announcements. But right now the doors are closed, but tomorrow everything changes. This, of course, is going to be base, and it's going to be a lot of announcements coming out of Coinbase, and I think we are going to see some pretty big deals happening on this announcement. I question whether or not it will have perfect timing with these bills and everything kind of sucking up a lot of the wind in terms of the press right now. So hopefully it does for Coinbase to go forward. Another thing, PayPal's PYUSD now live on Arbitrum. We talked about Arbitrum before. Another great beta play on ETH. Remember, Arbitrum is going to be the platform that Robinhood is using for tokenizing stocks. You kind of get the picture. This is coming, and we're going to see more of this. It is becoming the go-to platform for stablecoin expansion. Watch that statement right there, because that could be big for Arbitrum. Last up, of course, BlackHole is out there launching now, and they're getting into a lot more integration. And of course, we're going to try to get Elio on the show here pretty soon. But BlackHole, obviously going to be a DEX within the Avalanche ecosystem, could move Avalanche finally off the floor. Avalanche starting to move off the floor a little bit, off its low right here. And that right now holding at a pretty good position at about 35% up, trading at around $22. So pretty good for Avalanche. But right now, everything seems to be pumping when you look at the charts, especially behind the narrative of what ETH is doing. The other thing that, of course, we did and talked about yesterday with with the guys over Joe McCann, this was kind of interesting. We were kind of playing with this headline there, but the point is there was some potential meme potential here for BONK. It's just that simple, as they say. And of course, if you look at the BONK chart right there, an absolute explosion yesterday. So if you're not part of the Diamond Circle, guys, this is where you get the alpha that will help you understand where this market is going. Because our interviews, guys, I'm telling you, these people understand the narrative, they understand the tech, they understand the market sentiment. This is all going to help you in your trading journey. So all you have to do is click down below, join it. It's absolutely free. Follow me on X, just at Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on The Paul Barron Show.